Hello YouTube, Own Soldier 86 back here again with another video on the Mystic Cave Zone. And we did kind of a little bit of a warp, warp speed. What you are seeing right now, of course, is the original DK level that I ripped a while back and explained that that's one of the things I do to try to get the size proportions of a level. And what I did is I went ahead and basically made a full level Mystic Cave Zone. And I did that because it's a lot easier for me to do off camera. And then I can go back and hopefully explain how I made each of the different components for my level. And so what I'm going to do is now I'm going to show you what the Mystic Cave Zone will look like. Here we go. Ta-da! There it is. And it's relatively simple. Notice that I have been using lots of blocks and boxes to make up the level, as well as a bunch of these 2D planes. And the reason why I'm using such limited geometry is because the more simple we can make the geometry, the better the level will render and will in turn run smoother for the characters playing in the game. Typically for two players, having a bunch of geometry and images and that kind of stuff in the game won't make a big difference. But when you start getting four players, if you start loading your level up with a bunch of extra textures and pieces, it's going to really create lag for your level. And even comparing to the original DK level, you can see we've got lots and lots and lots of each one of these squares has to be rendered and accounted for by the game. And if we're including, say, about, maybe on average about 50 to 100 squares here, that's going to be extra taxing on the CPU for the poor little N64 from, the 1990s. So we're going to keep things simple. Usually the simpler the better. And frankly, the simpler the better for the characters as well. From this here, we can analyze quickly that we have our playing area where we have our floors here. We have a couple platforms for the characters to jump up onto, and we have a little extended platform here. And then down here we have our fall zone. And what will happen is that DK barrel will traverse underneath this fall zone back and forth, and the character can get blasted up into several different sectors here. So we have ourselves quite a bit of excitement going on here for this little play area. And just to prove it to you that we've got the proportions relatively close to the DK level, I'm going to go ahead and move this back on top of my level, and we can kind of compare to see how well we did. So in terms of height, it looks like we kept pretty consistent with that level here. The DK level dips a little bit farther down than my level does. And then these platforms up here, I guess this platform gets a little bit higher than this one does, but a difference of about 200 meters or so in the context of the game won't be much of difference. And actually these boxes, it looks like it's really consistent right here. Something to keep in mind is that these platforms do move in the DK level. They kind of rotate around like this. So these things actually might get a little higher than what you see on the screen here. I am not familiar with how to move any geometry or platforms, and so anything I make is static. Basically what you see is what you get. If there's anybody out there that knows how to do movement geometry, boy, I'd love to have you share with me your expertise, because that would be the next step for my process. I would consider myself maybe a somewhat of an intermediate level designer here. I'm definitely not advanced. There's going to be people out there that will know how to move geometry around and things like that much better than I do. But this is good enough. It's simple and it's easy, and I like it. And I hope you do too. So we're going to take a few videos here to take a break, and we're going to decompile the level that I've created here and talk about all of the different components separately and explain why I decided on each of these components and basically tear it apart. So here we go. In the next video, we'll discuss that.